I feel like the way Halo is in particular, just whether it's sprint or some other ability, it's very much for a while now. I feel like kind of just riding the wave of other games flow in a way.
Yeah.
I feel like they're borrowing a little too much and not innovating. However, I mean, like we can say, oh well, they put in thrust, and they put in stabilize, and I feel like those kind of things have been in like Advanced Warfare for Call of Duty examples, like a sort of
Sure.
thrust stuff like that. It's just like it really feels like nothing really new has been thrown at Halo that really innovates. It's kind of just like it almost feels like a lot of things have been done before, and with Sprint going back to it needs to be more balanced. It needs to just be different. It can't be like every other Sprint and every other game that usually functions that way. I feel like at least maybe even in ranked, it's a little bit different compared to social, but at least you both have Sprint maybe in both. But it needs to be a little bit nerfed is what I said before, and I still fully stand by that if we want to keep it. That's my sort of stipulation is like, sure, keep Sprint. It can't be Sprint that we've had for Halo 4 and Halo 5.
Right. You also brought up this great concept of like momentum in competitive Halo, where the game's kind of about, having momentum and always having your gun ready and like for every single engagement. And the fact that Sprint puts your gun down for extended periods of time, and it kind of breaks that concept of momentum in the game when you perfectly understand the game and you're going through the map at this very specific route and you're jumping perfectly and everything's just lining up. Your gun's always ready to go. Sprint kind of gets rid of that. As well. So that was kind of an interesting point there. I think what would be cool is just think of the power, honestly. Like if 343 wants to kind of win over the fans from a marketing perspective, I feel like there's so much power in just telling your community that the next Halo has no sprint. Like they could at the end of their reveal just say, oh, and by the way, Halo has no sprint. You know how many people would freak the fuck out? Like they would celebrate. They'd be cheering just because you said the game has no sprint. It's that simple. Like it's kind of crazy. It's like saying the next Xbox has backwards compatibility or saying that the next Halo has split screen. It just immediately you bring on board so many fans. So I feel like because there's so much power in just telling the community that, I'm wondering if 343 can come up with a unique way to innovate their game with no sprint and kind of move forward there. Because I feel like they have so much opportunity if they can just say that to the audience and then find a new way to innovate.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope to be wrong in the sense that they know what they're doing or like know their sort of scheme of what they want to do with multiplayer by now. I feel like at this point that they have very little information to dish out. I think they're still very up in the air. If that's my guess, and that's my sort of take on why. And that's what you just mentioned there about after showing that trailer, at least announcing something. That's another thing I wish that I would have seen there is like, if you're not going to show any gameplay, or you're not going to show any like scenery, enemies, anything about really the story, at least have someone come out and just discuss Halo and like chalk it up and just mention something, mention features. Like you don't have to show it to us, at least just talk about it with us.
Yeah.
It's a year and a half out, but it's been in development for 3.5 years. It should be, there should be something solid that we can discuss, not just like, I feel like they're still playing on like the hype, like the very subtle hype and rumor, or not rumors, but expectations or like little things that people are looking for in the trailers and whatnot. It's like, I feel like at this point we shouldn't have to do that. We should be able to like, well, they've mentioned this before. It's like, what if they've done this so we can actually start discussing other things as well? And I feel like we're very much tied down to just what they want us to talk about. Instead of letting us sort of really run away with anything that they give us and start really opening up some dialogue. I feel like the dialogue is still very one-laned right now. Like there's not much to go on.
I mean, even just kind of stating some of the stuff that they had written in Halo Waypoint during that E3 conference, I feel like the issue was that they kind of had the trailer woven into their announcement of Scarlet at the same time. Like it was, they did all their talking, and that was for Project Scarlet, and that immediately launched into the trailer. So I think that's kind of where that issue came in. But yeah, it would have been nice if they kind of talked a little bit more about their vision that supported what you saw in the trailer and just gave fans even more confidence. But yeah, there's a lot of power in just saying no sprint, which makes me think like, dude, try to find a way to innovate this game without sprint. I feel like out of all the mechanics, there's so much available. There's a big slate of mechanics in Halo 5 here. I feel like sprint is kind of like the least like important one that's there personally.
I agree. I mean, there's plenty of games that go without it that there's so much skill to, such as like CSGO, and obviously we've already sort of like touched on Overwatch a little bit, but that's a completely different style of game. But it's like,
it doesn't have that either.
Need sprint. for every single person in that game. Obviously, there's like some little stipulations with some of the characters in Overwatch, but so it's just like a game doesn't need to have sprints. Like I really, really hope, I don't know like their mindset about it, but it's like you don't need to have these certain things in a modern game nowadays to please everybody. It's like, do your own thing, do it right, and build it up, build the hype, and people will come.